There are 7 things that quietly disappear after you retire. And I don't mean the obvious ones, the paycheck, the commute, the alarm clock. I'm talking about the subtle losses that catch busy, accomplished people completely off guard. I know because I've retired twice. The first time I got blindsided by almost every one of these. The second time, I designed around them. I don't know what you've spent decades building, a career, a business, a life's work, but I do know that these things are going to happen to you too. If you are in your 40s, 50s, or 60s and retirement is anywhere on your horizon, what I'm about to share could be the difference between a retirement that unravels and disappoints, and one that actually works and becomes the happiest time of your life. And wait until you hear number 7, because that's the one that quietly dismantles more retirements than any financial mistake ever could. Here's number 1. Your built-in intellectual community disappears. After 32 years practicing law, I was surrounded every day by people who thought the way I did, analytically, strategically, thoughtfully, who were as high energy and focused as I was. We argued about complex problems. We challenged each other's reasoning. That wasn't just work. That was my intellectual ecosystem. And when I walked away from it, I didn't just lose colleagues. I lost the daily experience of being challenged and sharpened by them. Nobody tells you that retirement can be lonely, not because you're alone, but because you're understimulated. Your friends are lovely, your spouse is wonderful, but if you spent decades operating at a high level, casual conversation doesn't scratch the same itch. What I learned the hard way and then solved the second time is that you have to deliberately architect a new community that provides similar intellectual stimulation and energy. That doesn't happen organically. You build it. A mastermind group, or a board you might want to sit on, a project that puts you in rooms with people who make you think. This is not optional. This is infrastructure. Number 2, your sense of competence goes quiet. This one is sneaky. When you're working, you receive constant evidence that you're good at something. Clients rely on you. People seek your judgment. You solve problems that other people can't. That feedback loop is so constant, you don't even know it's running until it stops. I remember a few months into my first retirement, someone at a dinner party asked me what I did, and for the first time in my adult life, I hesitated. And it wasn't because I was ashamed, it was because I genuinely didn't know how to answer. When your competence has been validated by a professional context for decades, retirement creates this strange silence where you have to find new ways to experience your own capability. This is why I talk so much about the importance of having what I call a purpose project, something that uses your expertise, challenges you, and gives you that evidence of mastery back. Not because you need external validation, but because competent people need to feel competent. It's not vanity, it's identity. Number 3, the structure you didn't know you were depending on. I practiced law for over 3 decades. Every hour was accounted for. Billable hours will do that to you. My days had structure. Retirement removed the architecture and handed me a blank canvas, which sounds liberating until you're standing in front of it at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday with no idea what to do with yourself. Here's what I didn't understand the first time. Freedom without structure isn't freedom, it's drift. And drift is where retirements go to die. The second time I retired, I approached time design the same way I'd approach any strategic problem. I built a weekly rhythm, not a rigid schedule, but a framework. Creative work in the morning, business and errands midday, evenings protected for rest and connection. Structure in retirement isn't a contradiction. It's what makes the freedom actually usable. 4, your professional authority evaporates. When I was a practicing attorney, I walked into rooms and people listened, not because I demanded it or commanded it, but because the title carried weight. The expertise carried weight. After retirement, you walk into the same rooms and you're just a person, maybe a lovely person, but the institutional authority that amplified your voice for decades is simply gone. This one stung more than I expected, and I've talked to enough business owners, managers, retired executives, and physicians to know that I'm not alone. The adjustment isn't about ego. It's about recalibrating how you create influence and impact without the institutional scaffolding you've always had beneath you. This is actually one of the most powerful things about building something of your own in retirement, whether that's a channel like this one, a consulting practice, a book, a community effort. You rebuild authority on your own terms. And frankly, authority you built yourself feels a whole lot better than authority that was handed to you by a title. Number 5, the urgency that was running your nervous system. After decades of deadlines and client demands and court dates, my nervous system was essentially wired for urgency. Everything felt like it needed to happen now, if not yesterday. I spent my first several months retired, still moving through my days like I was late for something, checking my phone constantly, feeling vaguely guilty if I sat still too long. It took time, real time, to deprogram that urgency. And here's what nobody tells you. When it finally leaves your body, you realize it wasn't just a work habit. It was a state of being. You'd been living in a low-grade fight or flight for so long that you thought that was just life. The absence of urgency, once you actually settle into it, is one of the greatest gifts of retirement. But you have to let it happen. You can't rush your way out of rushing. The irony is not lost on me. Number 6, your financial identity shifts in ways you didn't anticipate. When you're working, money is flowing in. You're a producer. You're accumulating. Your financial identity is growth-oriented. In retirement, even if you're financially comfortable, even if you've planned well, your relationship with money fundamentally has to change. You shift from accumulation to spending your savings, and psychologically, that transition is harder than most people expect. Spending from savings feels very different from spending from income, even when the math is identical. I've watched brilliant people who are objectively well off become irrationally anxious about spending in retirement, not because they can't afford to, but because their entire financial psychology was built around earning, not spending. Understanding this shift before it hits you is enormous. It's why financial clarity, what I call the prosperity pillar, isn't just about having enough money. It's about having enough psychological comfort with how your money works in this new chapter. Number 7, and this is the one that surprises everyone, your sense of relevance. Now, I'm not talking about your self-worth. I'm not talking about your confidence. I'm talking about your relevance, that feeling that what you do matters to the broader world. When you're working, you're embedded in systems that need you. Clients need you, teams need you, organizations need you. You are relevant by default. Retirement removes you from every system that was generating that feeling. And this, more than boredom, more than finances, more than any of the other 6 things on this list, this is what causes people to either spiral downward or come roaring back with something extraordinary. Because here's what I've learned from doing this twice. Relevance in retirement is not given to you. You create it. You create it by building something, a purpose project, a body of work, a community contribution that puts you back in relationship with the world in a meaningful way. Not busy work, not killing time, something that uses who you've become over 6 or 7 decades and puts it to work in a way that actually matters. That's the design piece. That's what separates people who thrive in retirement from people who simply survive it. These 7 shifts are coming for all of us. And they're not problems to avoid. They're transitions to design around. That's what this channel is all about. We don't do panic here. We don't do platitudes. We design retirements that are worthy of the lives we've built. If that resonates with you, subscribe and leave a comment and tell me which of these 7 you've experienced or which one you're most concerned about. I read every single comment. And if you want to see where you actually stand in your retirement readiness, I have a free scorecard linked below that walks you through all 3 pillars: prosperity, purpose, and play in about 10 minutes. Now, here's the next video that you might want to watch. I'll see you in the next one.